Hi everyone, welcome back to another PHP tutorial. In this video I am going to be covering user-defined functions and how they can really help you make your code a little more efficient. They are really used to group a bunch of code together that you would normally use over and over, and they make it easily accessible. So I'm going to start off by building a function. We use the function keyword here. I kind of got a head start with this. So we put in the function keyword followed by the function name. And I always start the function with an uppercase, so that way I can separate my variables from my functions very easily. So I'm going to call this greet user. And notice how I am using the camel case naming convention. Both words are started with an uppercase because it is a function. And then I use two parentheses, and normally you would pass in any what's called parameters or any attributes that you would want to use within the function, which I'll cover that in a second, but you would pass those in here. But since we're not doing that, we are just going to create our function with just static text. So we create the function body by opening and closing curly braces here. And what we want to do is we want to run some code inside. So let's just say we're going to greet user. So we're going to echo out, hello, how are you? And if we were to save this and look at our code, it doesn't do anything. We need to actually call the function itself. So under my function, and it doesn't really matter where you put it, but I'm just going to put it below. You just do call the function by using the name followed by the parentheses. And that will actually run the code that's found inside. So now if I refresh this, oops, need to save my page and refresh, it'll say, hello, how are you? Now, that is a basic function, and we can see that if I were to put in another greet user function call, I'm just going to echo out a break statement here, or break tag. And if I refresh, now we have the same two lines going out to the screen. And all that I'm really doing is calling just a little bit of code on my end because it's already created inside of my function. Now I am going to switch this over, and I'm going to pass in a user. So the user is going to be the first name, or actually I'll change that to fname. And inside of my string, I'm going to do fname. So now I'm going to do my greet user, but inside I'm going to pass it Nick. So now I'm passing in one parameter here, and my parameter should get put out in my echo statement. If I refresh my page, it says, hello Nick, how are you? Right now this doesn't really show how useful this is because I'm just using this one time. But if I were to do this, let's say for John as well, and refresh, let me put in a break here so that way they're on different lines, and refresh, now I get hello Nick, how are you? And hello John, how are you? So now we can start seeing how we can reuse code really easily and modify it so that way it allows us to change our application. So that's using one parameter. If we want to add in another one, let's say we want to add in class. So we're going to ask the person how their class was today. We're going to echo out class, and then we're going to change it to hello, the user's name, how was the class that they're taking today. So now if I leave this empty, I should get some errors. Missing argument 2, so it needs this class variable. In order to do that, I just put a comma and then I pass in my class. So I'm going to call biology. And I'm going to call this one PHP application development. So Nick is in biology and John is in PHP application development. So if I refresh this, we should see, hello Nick, how was biology today? And we should see, hello John, how was PHP application development today? So now we can start passing in a bunch of things to get our application working. Once we start putting all this stuff together, it'll start making a little more sense. But this is a basic function. You can also do math and all that stuff, and you can have multiple lines. So if I wanted to echo out, let's say we do this on one line and we do this on another, and I'm just going to put in a break here for good measure. So now if I were to refresh that, now I get it on two lines. So you can do multiple different things, and you can create variables within your function body as well. One thing I haven't covered yet is scope. And what scope is, and it's not the kind that you use to gargle with or anything like that. Let's say I create a user variable in here, and we'll call this guest. This user variable only exists inside of this function body. It doesn't exist outside of this. So if out here in my main application I were to try to call user, it would not do anything, or I would get an empty variable because user doesn't exist. The contrary to that, well, actually I take that back. I'm going to stop right there. I have seen some instances where variables are available outside of a function and you can use them inside. So the way I try and explain that is, inside of a function, you are inside of a house looking out a window, so you can see what's outside on a sunny day, but someone who's outside looking in can't see because it's darker inside the house than it is outside. So just remember that. Inside you can see out, outside you can't see in the house. So that's it for a basic function. The next video I am going to be covering some super variables, which are used mostly in forms and dealing with form data. So we'll get into that next.